Hello, Miss. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Fine, fine, thank you.
That's good.
Yes. How was yesterday for all of you? Did you rest or did you have to do a lot of homework?
It means a lot of homework.
Mhm. I
It's
ate
not good.
All right. Well, I hope that you had rested at least a little bit.
I need another free day.
I know. I think the next one, I think it's November the 2nd, but I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Mm.
All right. So today,
Teacher,
basically,
teacher,
yes.
good morning. I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, according with what you told us in the last class, the exam of classroom management would be on September 23rd. But in this case, you told us about the project instead of the exam.
Uh-huh.
So this day will be September 23rd will be a normal day.
A normal day, yeah.
Okay,
You
okay.
have to upload the project on September 27th.
27, I
27.
think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yes, pretty
Okay,
much. All right.
okay.
So today, basically, what we are going to do is finish with the presentations that we had with some of the topics that I gave you. And if I'm not mistaken, the ones who were missing were Dana and Alejandro, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So I don't know who wants to be the first one.
Me? I
Okay,
can
Okay.
be the
let
first one.
me, yeah, okay, okay.
Can you share it, Dana, or do you want me to share it?
Can you share it, please, teacher? I can because I'm on my cell phone, so I don't have the
Yes, don't worry.
presentation here.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just open it. Mm, mm, mm. I thought I had it on my computer. No, let me go to the. You have two files uploaded. Which one is? Both of them are okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can open whatever, but on I uploaded two because I forgot to put the references, so I put
Ah,
it again.
okay. All right.
But it's the same.
Okay. Let me. I'm downloading everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know why my computer always. That's weird. Okay, I have it here. Give me 1 second so I can open this. My computer is really slow sometimes, so especially when I'm in a class. So
Don't worry.
give
Like if
me
it knows.
yes. So I'm gonna be okay. It's opening the PowerPoint. As it opens, when you were in the previous class, I don't know, but you had what proficiency or what class did you have?
Pragmatics.
Pragmatic,
Pragmatic.
Pragmatics.
pragmatic.
Was there a student in your class that had the name Sebastian in the?
Yes, it's
Oh,
Andre. It's Andrea. It's a
Andrea.
new one.
Ah, okay. Oops, I didn't accept it. Didn't accept her. Okay. Well, I hope that she connects back. I didn't also when I don't know who they are, I don't accept them. So,
Yeah.
okay, so she's a new student.
Yes.
Okay. Oopsie. Okay.
Yeah, her name is Andrea as well.
As well. Okay. So I can know this. All right. So I'm gonna be sharing the presentation now, Dana, and you can tell me when
Mhm.
to start. Right. So it's already there. So I don't know. You can tell me.
Yes. Well, I will start.
Okay.
Well, so as you remember, we are talking about what does classroom management involve. So the topic that I chose was personalities. And the next one, please, teacher.
Mhm.
I usually put one a slide because the information was short, but and I guess that it was very. It was like a very well like a summary.
Mhm.
So the author mentions that there are different kinds of personalities, as we can actually see in our classroom when we started to learn.
Mhm.
So the author made the highlights the next ones. He talks about the dominant students, the weaker and sharp students, and now and also he mentioned a very interesting meaning for one type of students as he calls as passengers. So he mentioned that the dominant students are the ones like we already know as the ones like who them always want to participate in, always raise their hand, and actually they had like this kind of I don't know how to say like they always want to interrupt them when others are participating because they know the answer and actually they want to prove that they are more smart than the others and knows more about topics than the others and always wants to make them like I know it and I know more than you. And then he talks about the weaker and shy students or introvert and as you can say. So the weaker and shy students are more about the ones who are always like in the corner of the room where they always want to avoid the questions and are the ones who are scared when they are in front of the class. They start to shaking and be nervous in front of others. And actually, if they even know the answers or they even know what to say, they always get that complex that they are afraid of speaking from the others. And actually, they are like the ones who are being dominated for the dominant students because their personality are very soft and actually they don't want to make trouble with them. And actually, he talked about the passengers students, and it was very interesting that he refers as them with that word because it is true. He said that passenger students are more about like the ones who are in the classroom, but they don't care what are they learning and actually are like he's the dominant or that person is answering. He knows about the class, so I let him or let her make whatever they want because she knows and I don't care. I don't want to participate. They are making everything. I just follow the rules. Like a sheep, as people say, like they are like the sheep who follows the leader. And whatever the other said, I will do it, but I I will do it, but because I want to, but because they are like making everything, so I will just listen and or I will do anything. But actually, the author mentioned there that when we want to group that kind of people with each other, it's sometimes like very difficult, and they the teachers need to know how to impart them in groups because he mentioned that if you make a group with also with all dominant students, there will be trouble because everyone wants to participate, everyone wants to be bossy with each one of that group. And when that situation happen, they always put like, you have to do this work, but you have to manage how to control your how to not be that I don't know how to say that your goals.
Your role, yeah,
And
your role, your personality.
yes, because they have like the same personality, so they want to be like always fighting because I'm a better leader than you, but no, I'm better than you. So they have to manage that kind of situations between them. So the most I think like the better way to group people is like a dominant and weaker, and also a passenger in the same group, because the dominant will he can be a leader, but sometimes you have to put him like another one who follows the rules, because he will manage everything and wants to do everything, and he will doesn't let the other ones make the work, because he will think like I don't know how to do it, how you do it, so I don't like the way how to manage it, and this is not my style, so I will do it by myself. And the other ones will, okay, because the weaker or the shyer were like, I don't know what to say, I'm scared of fighting with you, so okay, I will follow what you say. And the passengers were, okay, I don't care, just because I will work, so I will do whatever you want.
So yeah, that happens a lot. That's something that I was saying. Well, the previous classes, when you need to, obviously the first day when you do your grouping activity or your pairing activity, that's when you're going to identify, you know what, Pedro is the dominant and Susana and Erika are the weaker, but you know what, Juan and Jose are passengers. So you know what, next class what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to separate them. I'm not going to put them together so they can work, and that's how you're going to to start grouping them or pairing them. But also something that is important is, and that's as a teacher, you have to give them roles. Can you listen to me or no? A little?
Yes, there's like interference.
Yes.
Can you listen to me better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go like this. Yeah, that's something that is important as teachers. I think that we have to sometimes bend the rules a little, and we have to give them roles. Even if you have two students who are dominant, if you give them a specific roles, like for example, you know what, you are the dictator, you are the one who keeps track of time, you are the one who is going to read, and you're the one who's going to write. When you give them roles, all of these personalities in the classroom are going to kind of disappear. But this one, and I'm gonna do a little, this one sometimes is the one that we have to have in control, because even if you give them the role, he or she is always going to want to tell this one what to do, and obviously this one what to do. This one, he or she wants to get 100, so he or she will do whatever he says. And since he or she knows that these ones are going to do everything, he's going to be like, I'm okay with everything, so I'm happy. Well, that's a happy face, but okay. Okay. So sometimes this one is the one that we have to have in control, but we can also use the dominant as a, how can I say it, as a part of our team as teachers, because we can tell him or her, you know what, make sure that this one works, because I know that she doesn't want to speak. So help her. She can speak. Tell her that she can speak. And this one is going to feel important. So he or she is going to tell the one that is weak, yes, you can do it. Go ahead. But we have to know how to say it and how to tell this one. Because sometimes these ones are also the ones who are going to help us make sure that everybody in the class stays focused. Okay? So those are the things that we have to have in mind. All right. Good, Dana. I don't know if you have, do you want me to continue or?
Yes, it's okay.
Ah, well, that's the only thing
Well,
you had.
I see. I
It's
only
okay.
opened that slide because it was like
Yeah, it was a very
very short.
short, paragraph. So yeah, okay. So basically, it's that. What I want to, I'm gonna stop here a little bit before we go to Alejandro's presentation. I want you to tell me about the experiences that you have had as students, but also as teachers, if you are teaching right now with this type of students. What are some of the things that you have identified in your classroom?
Well, the teacher um, must to be the leader in any given group,
Yeah.
the teacher. But between students, I can see that there is always a leader, a rebel one, a talented one, and so on. Yeah, and you know, you have to be dealing with those kinds of personalities, which are very different. Sometimes we can say as a teacher that there is a weak student, but maybe it is weak because we do not know him very well to
Mm-hmm.
try to exploit, uh, I mean, his knowledge, for example.
Yeah. So it's what similar to what I was saying. When we normally the first, even the second day when you're teaching, and I'm talking about teaching English, because normally that's going to be our like scenario. So when we're teaching a language, like I said before, we have the student who is really a beginner, you know what, zero English. And then we have the student who, you know what, more or less, because he or she has watched a lot of television. And then we have the student who knows English, but never really continue that, you know what, that repeats and repeats and repeats. So normally we are going to identify the personality of these students in the first or the second day. When you know this, that's like what Alejandro says, we have to take that into our advantage as teachers, because that's when we are going to give them the roles in the class and how they are going to help us. Okay. Any other I don't know, experience that you have had about this?
Yes, I was in Filosofía y Letras before being Lely. So the first 2 semesters is about learn about history and philosophy and actually like problems around the world. So in my group there was like the dominants and the weakers, and I could say I was a passenger there because I didn't care what the top. So I only work because I have to pass the semester, right? So I I was like between them, like, okay, I could speak, but I don't know if I'm right, but I will try. But there was like the dominants who, for example, the teacher asked something and they were like, yes, and they start to, um, yeah, I read this in that book and I read about that in that book. It was very complex, but I understand it and start to be like very loudly and arrogant as well, I think. And the weakers were like, when they asked them for something, they knew the answer, but they didn't want to say it because they was like very shy because they didn't know how to express themselves. And me as a passenger were like, do it. But because I was like, their behavior was not that good, wasn't that good. And I was like, say whatever you want, but I only want to pass the class. So I could say that I was a passenger there.
All right. Okay, interesting. I think that, well, from what I have seen, and it's something that we have to have in mind, not only as a teacher, but as students or people who are learning. Sometimes their roles change, even in a subject. Like maybe you know what? In here, I have Panchito. He's the dominant. Uh, Estela is the weaker, and Jose is the passenger. But when they go to what's the next class? Oh, pragmatics. You know what? I see that Juanito is the one who's the dominant, and they change. Even if it's one subject, it's going to change. One, maybe because of the teacher, and two, because of the knowledge, and three, because of their personality. Maybe in my class, Juanito is a passenger because he doesn't care about the subject and he doesn't like me as a teacher. But Estela is the weaker one because maybe she is afraid of me, maybe because of my tone of voice. And I know that Pancho is the dominant because I don't know, maybe he knows me. But in the pragmatics subject, their roles or their personalities, they change. So sometimes that happens as well. Okay. Any other experience you guys want to share about these personalities? No? All right. Okay.
Sorry, I guess I am the dominant, but is that I'm not tell the people what to do. It's just that, yeah, I want to, okay, we are in a group and I just want ideas. I just want to everybody like to participate and don't say like, well, okay, it's the word or the activity, it's depending of what do you like or that. Sometimes obviously I get like frustrated because I don't know if it is me or if they are not like used to that, to the people or listen their opinions. And I'm like, just tell me anything is wrong and tell me and tell me and tell me. And in the end it's like, no, it's I don't care. It's just it's better if you choose the activity. And yeah, well, sometimes with activities like I don't know for tomorrow or something like that is like, okay, let's do that. But I don't know like how to change that. As I told you, I don't know if it is me, um, of or if they are the ones who are like used to that always happen with that.
Yeah, no, it's part of. I mean, it's part of every classroom in the personality. So, like I said, we cannot really change that, but we have to find a way to work. In this case, for example, if you're talking about yourself, then the teacher is the one who has to balance that. You know what? If I'm gonna make groups, then I'm going to put Aster, and then I'm gonna put Panchito, and then I'm going to put Erika, for example, together, because I know that Aster is going to, because Aster is an extrovert, for example, so in a way dominant, but I know that the three of them can work because again, it's a balance. If I put, for example, you with another dominant student, and then I put a weaker student, I mean, it's not going to efficiently, or it's not going to be efficient for that. So it's part of me, teacher, have the control or the management to identify, you know what, I have to put Astrid with Pancho and with Eric, because that's the only way that they can work, and the only way that maybe she's going to be able to have that dominance in these other two students, these two other students. So I mean that's part of everyday planning and management that the teacher has. So that's why it is important, one, to identify the students really quickly in the first class, and two, make sure that you are able to pair them, but you have to plan for that. That's that would be the main objective of the plan, talking about classroom management. Okay. All right. So before we continue with the topic that Alejandro has, any other or something else you want to share about personalities?
We already kind of saw that a little bit in. I remember. I know that it was with teacher Edna, but I don't remember which class because we have two. So we did like a little test to
Okay.
see what kind of students we are, and we can similar to this,
Yeah.
and actually most of us, because we put it in a forum, we could relate to the answer, well, the final answer that the test give us.
Yeah. So I think I know that subject. It's either, well, either introduction to English, or I don't remember the subject, but I know
I
that.
remember it was teaching children or learning and teaching English as I don't know.
Yeah, I think it must be learning and teaching as a second. Okay. Well, but yeah, if you, in a way, these subjects are connected. So I mean, they are going to complement in one way or another. So you're probably going to see something similar in her class, as well as something similar in my class. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that we are going to encounter in our classroom. Okay, very good. All right, Alejandro. So
Okay, teacher, I will try to share my screen.
yes, did you upload the presentation?
Yeah, I already upload.
Okay, so if you can't, I'll share it if you want.
Okay. Okay, let me try. If I get a problem,
Yes.
okay, I will tell you immediately.
And well, as you try to share it, I guess that we have to welcome. I know that your name is not Sebastián, but what's your name?
My name is Andrea Beltrán del Río.
All right, Andrea, nice to meet you. My name is Hilda, and I'm going to be your teacher for this particular subject, classroom management, okay?
Okay.
All right, very good. So, Alejandro, okay. Whenever you want to start.
Okay, can you watch it?
Yes.
Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, my topic was grouping and sitting. Well, concerning with this topic, we can see right here the traditional interaction between teacher and students. I mean, this kind of grouping, it is especially designed to have a great control over great groups with 40 students or higher. And even though it has been running a lot of time, it is not obsolete. I mean, it is an option. Especially you can see that in public schools where you have more than 40 students. And one thing that we have to keep in mind is that even though you have a great group, sometimes you cannot make any other kind of arrangement. But you can say to the people to stand up just to awake them, or to come into the front, or to come into the back, just to move the students just a little bit to awake and to be ready to continue with the class. But always, well, there is an option to rearrange students regularly, even if you have big groups. But you have to keep in mind the following, that there will be good lighting, there will be good temperature, there will be good ventilation, and of course that you got the resources such as the screens or displays, so that once that you have got your new arrangement, the students can see, can speak, um, and properly, I mean comfortably, because if you make an arrangement and now you discover that you have only one monitor or just only one screen, and the screen is in the back of the students, they are not to be able to be watching the screen. So you have to keep those things in mind. Um, and of course that you have enough space to make the change of the seating. Well, keeping that in mind, we can see that there are always possibilities of using the space properly. So sometimes um, the chair and the desk are fixed to the floor, so it is not easy to move them. So you have to keep that in mind. But if you have enough space, you can do a lot of things. Try to be creative all the way, even with most fixed seating. As I told you, if the seats are fixed to the floor, you can tell the students to stand up and to come to the front and then go back, just to move them just a little bit. Remember to ensure that the students can speak and see comfortable, taking in mind the kind of arrangement that you are planning to do. Do not forget that all the pairs or groups are accessible to the teacher. I mean that the teacher can have a kind of visual control over the group. When you rearrange the class students, remember that the middle of a row can sometimes be on the eye. I mean, you can make some changes and to take into consideration the whole group, not just the ones that are on the front or on the back. Most of the time, one of the forgotten students are the ones that are seated in the middle. Be able to monitor all the pairs and groups. It doesn't matter what kind of arrangement you selected. The students in the middle of the round also need the teacher attention. A change in the room can make a difference. Do not forget that. If you are able to do that, this is a key factor. But always take into consideration that you have enough space and that you have the proper resources, such as lighting, temperature, and in this case, ventilation. Okay, that's it.
So, okay. So I'm not really going to focus a lot on this because it is something actually that we're going to start talking talking about tomorrow.
Okay.
But well, I'm gonna go to this presentation then. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna share it. Let me just go ahead and do it. So in this case, we're talking about grouping and sitting as Alejandro was sharing it. And we're going to actually talk about this is in a specific actually in the following classes. So we have all of these types of sitting arrangements. But in this case, what we call it would be the classroom layout, okay? First of all, the classroom layout is basically this: the arrangement of the desk, of the chairs. Where is the teacher? Where is the blackboard, the whiteboard, or the interactive board? Where are the windows, as Alejandro was mentioning? Is there enough lighting or not? So we're going to be talking about this in the following classes. I'm not really going to focus on this a lot right now, but I want you to, we're gonna end the class with you guys telling me what is your experience about grouping and sitting in your classes as a teacher or as a student. Like, what are your experiences that you, well, what are some of the situations that you have experienced as teachers or as students when it comes to grouping or sitting? Yes, Andrea?
I am actually really related to the one that is really colorful. That one, yeah. Because I have worked in a Montessori school,
Okay.
and if you know, in the Montessori method, you need to be well, the classroom has to be with a lot of natural lighting, like kind of chairs and tables, not too tall, not too short for the students, and a lot of space
Yes.
for the floor, a lot of rocks, and a lot of interactive material. And actually, when I entered to the classroom, because I entered like in October to be the auxiliary teacher, the head teacher was very stressful because we had a very heavy classroom, and it's because we have third grade and fourth grade together. So
Okay.
third grade was awesome. Fourth grade was the one that it was difficult. So basically, the classroom was always like divided. I knew that in this part I have third grade, and in this part I have fourth grade. Also because the material was arranged in that way.
In that way,
And also, well, they knew that if they wanted to use the floor, they need to go for a rock layout in the floor, ask me for the material, I put the material, I explain it. And actually the windows were a little bit obstruct for some shelves, like long shelves. So the coordinator told us, me and the teacher, like, you know what, you need to arrange the classroom because you need more lighting for the classroom. And we tried to put those two shelves against the wall. So basically it was there, and we have more lighting. And it was better around this time of the day because we could just turn off the lights.
Yeah.
And it was more relaxed. Sometimes it was really rare when the students were quiet because they were a little bit of a pickle.
Yeah.
We could turn just off the light and just have a calm minute. And yeah, it was similar to that. And actually, I really enjoy this kind of classroom because I was taught in
this
that
environment.
kind of environment because I was a student in that school, and I came back as a teacher. So I know this. I knew the system. I was related to, and yeah, it was good. I think it's one of the best. I know it's not for all of the students. Some kind of students can get used to the Montessori method. So.
Yeah, it's a different method from what they are I mean, depending on the age, I would say, they can get used to it, or it's going to be hard for them, especially like if we refer to the students who that Alejandro was mentioning, the ones that are in the government schools, like in the SEP and stuff. We unfortunately we cannot have like this type of layout, or all of this actually in government schools in the SEP, because of the number of students that they have. They have 40. I mean, it's kind of impossible for them to do something like this, but they can definitely, I mean, they if they actually plan with anticipation, I can say that they can get a good advantage of their classroom, but also of the school's um, facilities. Like they don't have to necessarily have to be in the classroom to make arrangements in terms of grouping or sitting. But again, this is something that we're going to talk about later. Um, but for example, if we think about the Relaciones Culturales classrooms, for example, they are not too big. Some of them, I mean, we have the small classrooms. We have like the ones that are like medium classrooms, and then we have like big classrooms. In this case, what has been your, well, the ones who have been there before, right? What has been your experience when it comes to grouping or sitting in Relaciones Culturales? Like, what are some of the things that you have noticed in this classroom in the classrooms in particular, or you haven't had the opportunity to do it? No.
Well, when we have like activities in the classroom, it's just that, or we sit on the floor and
Okay.
we make like a group, or with the chairs. But sometimes it's like complicated because the groups used to be like 4, 5 people, and all of us were like separate, but like in a circle.
Mhm.
So when we have to
Oh.
make like a poster or so, we sit on the floor.
Okay.
And yeah, normally, like for example, I don't remember the number of the classroom, but it's in the middle of Lely. I guess it's 360, I think, or 70. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think
It's like kind of like the bigger, but for us was like small because we see like a ramp.
okay.
Okay. But it's good because the classrooms are like big, so all of the groups can I mean the teams can have their own space.
Yeah, that's the idea. And yeah, I mean, definitely, if for example, if and I'm gonna share this about one of the classes that I had. It was a program, well, it is a program that we have there. It's called Access. So in the classroom I had like 28, maybe 8 teens, like between 13, 14 years old. So it was in that classroom in actually in 317, the one that is in the middle in Nelly. So imagine it was 3 p.m. I had 28 students, teens, and they were coming from their school. So imagine the the smell, the like it was, the temperature was I mean it was cold, but you couldn't feel because we had a lot of students. But I had a lot of students. But what I did, because if I had the students like just in rows, I mean it was impossible. So I had to manage to make groups. So I had to divide the 28 teens in different like groups or teams so that they could work. And I mean you could see, like for example, something like this in that classroom, and it was a little bit difficult to stand up and, you know what, walk around, but all of us managed to do that, and it worked. So what I did the following class was that I kind of anticipated the class, and I went to the classroom and I had to arrange the seating so that, and I told them, you know what, you're not, if you see the classroom like this, don't move it, don't change it, we're going to sit like that. Okay, that's how we're gonna sit. Why? Because then they would be moving around, jumping. They are teenagers, so that's what they do. So they knew that I as a teacher can tell them, you know what, if you see the classroom like this, don't move it, sit wherever you want, but then when I come, I'm going to tell you where to sit. So that is something that we have to have in mind. Sometimes, especially when we are in like, and again, I'm gonna go back to the English teaching. we can go to the classroom and arrange the seating before the students arrive. Why? Because it does not interrupt the class, and they know, again, you have to tell them, you know what, we're going to be like this. But we're going to talk about more about this next class tomorrow. So
I don't know if you're talking about the room, the classroom that is in the middle of the third floor.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is so
small.
like yeah, so small. Once we take a class, Esther, you remember
Yeah,
the
Miss.
with
Sorry. He's talking about the classroom that is next to the girls' bathroom. I don't remember. I don't know the numbers of the classroom.
Well,
yeah
the ones that
once
are in Lely, the ones that are hidden is 316, 317, and then 318. And then we have the ones that are like small, 3 305 and 307. But I don't know which one are you talking about.
I don't remember, but once we take a class with of communication, do
With
you
Miss
remember, Esther?
Tania. With Miss Tania.
Yeah, and I felt like suffocated. I don't know. It was like I don't know, but the teacher is like in front of me. I was in the what can I say? At the beginning of the classroom,
Uh-huh.
the teacher in front of me and everybody in line.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah,
But we were like 15 people in this
okay.
classroom.
Mm,
I remember.
so I don't know if it's 304 or 306 or 308. I don't know which one you're actually referring to, but the thing is that in Relaciones Culturales, the classroom, like the layout in this case, we have it, or it is done in a way that is more like personal for the students. But we have to have in mind, like if I have a 15 like a group that is 15 students, maybe as teachers we have to kind of find a way, you know what, maybe they don't feel too crowded, and arrange, that's the idea, like arranging the classroom so they don't feel that it's too crowded. The space in the classrooms that we have, we can definitely do it, we can take advantage. But again, I go back to the, you know what, I have to, if I know that I have 15, if I know that I have 16 students, then you know what, maybe I can get there 10 minutes before the class and just put them in like in a way that they don't feel too crowded. That would be my recommendation always. If you're going to be teaching English in an institute or in a classroom, anticipate, go maybe 10 minutes before, always 10 minutes before. If you know you have a 20 students in your group, then you know what, I'm going to take advantage of the time and just arrange the classroom so they don't feel too crowded, because sometimes it happens. And that would be my recommendation when you start teaching on it, or if you're teaching right now and you can do it, go ahead. That's the benefit that we have in Relaciones Culturales, that we can take advantage of the space that we have in the classroom. So that is something that we can definitely do. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop right now because then I'm gonna continue talking. So the only thing that I want you guys to do for tomorrow, why is the classroom layout important? Okay, in classroom management, I don't want you to like do an essay or a summary or anything. No, I just want you to Google, or I don't know if you have a book or something, investigate why is the classroom layout important in classroom management. Okay, and investigate a little bit, and we're going to discuss this tomorrow. Okay.
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 I'm going to send this to the Remind group anyways, and so you can have it as a reference. And Andrea, the new Andrea, can you give me your email?
Yeah. Do I send it to you or do I say it to you now?
Can you send it to the chat?
Yeah, let me try.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that I want you to do for tomorrow. Again, you don't have to like write anything, or if you want to, that's fine. But just like research about it, and we're gonna talk about this tomorrow.
Listen about the project. Until when we are going to see about, well, I know the subject is classroom management, but you mentioned that before we do something or some ideas about your project, we have to finish
Yeah.
with something.
So what you can do right now is, okay, I have your email, Andrea. What you can do, you can include the topic that we discussed about, and I'm going to upload the presentation today. It's gonna be in the platform, so you can have a reference. We have to include the classroom layout, but because of time, I think what you can do with this is something like superficial. You don't have to go too much into like depth with this in the project. We are going to see it in the classroom, but in the project, you can just include it in a superficial way. Just, mention it, kind of explain what it is. If you want to go beyond and include more, then go ahead and do it. But you can superficially do it, just include what it is, and that's it. You don't have to go too much into depth in the project, okay?
Okay.
Right. So anyways, I'm gonna upload the presentation that we have seen today in the platform. It's gonna be there, and tomorrow we're going to start with classroom layout. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let you go now because then I'm gonna continue talking. So see you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Miss.
Yes.
Have
Have
a
a
good day.
wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Yes.